everybody. I'm actually out in Edmonton right now, and I just thought I would do a quick market update for everybody. It's been a while, and I just wanted to cover a few things. One is not got to do with the stats here themselves. What I wanted to talk about was a few things that have come to light. So I received an email from a realtor down in the city who was trying to market a North Vancouver two-bedroom apartment. And it was interesting because they had it listed at $869,000, which means it's fairly close to some of the Squamish pricing, which I think is an interesting thing to consider. And then when you look at the market, here is the Greater Vancouver region. You can see that prices have come down from 2024 high of 1,200,000 down to 1,100,000. It's almost a 10% decrease in property values. And if we go into North Van, so if I go into North Vancouver, you can see the similar type of drop that's occurred since the high in 2024 of 1.402. We've come down to 1.279. Not quite the same drop, but probably about a 7 or 8% drop in prices. But then when you look at Squamish across the board, so when I pull up Squamish prices have climbed since that same time. So here, 1,000,001, and we've got up to 1,122. Now, Squamish tends to follow the market down, so that there is a bit of a concern that the market could follow downward there, and it's indicative when you start getting prices in Vancouver. The people that move from Vancouver to Squamish are sometimes going to start looking at things and going, well, why would I spend that much money on gas when the discrepancy between two properties doesn't warrant that cost in price in gas, especially when gas is going up to the level of prices that we're having in gasoline. So we're going to lose some of our buyers that are coming up for that purpose, and that softens the market. Now, we're already struggling with the number of buyers. You can see here in Squamish, we'll go back to the number of sales. I think you'll see them come down a little bit. Right now it's pretty in the middle, but the number of listings has gone up dramatically. And so what we're getting is a high number of listings and a low number of buyers, and the buyers are slowly depleting, especially if the prices in Vancouver and North Vancouver continue to come down. So that's something I just wanted to mention. However, when you look at the percentage of original sale price, that went up to 100% this month. That was caused by the terrain townhomes that were for sale, duplexes that were for sale up in the Skyridge area. And there were obviously some that sell, and they include the GST on those when they post the sale prices. So they sell above asking. So where we've typically said, and it will be interesting to see if this occurs, that when the percentage of sale price exceeds $100,000, there's usually a collapse in market sale prices. And that's because people are starting to pay over asking, and when that happens, there tends to be a quick pullback because people think this is ridiculous, I shouldn't be paying over asking, and it tends to drop. So that's one of the factors that we need to look at. And then we look at the sales to active ratio. Although it did come up last month, you can see here where it did come. It has fallen quite a bit, and it is on a downward trend. So concerned that the sales to active ratio is also going to start falling. And what that means is the number of sales is decreasing and the number of listings is increasing, and it is something we're seeing as a trend in Squamish right now. So that's something to definitely be aware of. So I think we're in a challenging time going into spring market. We haven't seen the size of spring pickup that we normally see. So the market is starting off a little softer in 2026 than it has in the past. So just be aware of that when you're making your decisions. Doesn't mean that now is not a good time to sell or buy. It just means that the market is softer. So you have to be very aware of what the pricing looks like, how it's going to look in the future, what sort of move you're making. Are you making a lateral move, an upsize, or a downsize move? And that should have a massive impact on your decisions. So keep that in mind when you're making your decisions moving forward. And finally, being out in Edmonton, it was interesting to look at the housing prices out here. And what interested me the most was you're looking at townhouses out here. For a 1,200 square foot townhouse, we're selling for $300,000. And where that's interesting to me is that it's the same price of copper wire, same price of lumber. Labor is a little bit cheaper, but not astronomically cheaper. And I mean, that's less than $300 per square foot, including the land. You cannot find anything in Squamish for $600-700 a square foot. So I think it bodes to say that things are very uneven across the Canadian market. I've often wondered whether you could bring a crew over from Edmonton and build a property in Squamish and then send them home. They'd be happy to have a vacation in Squamish. But just food for thought that housing prices across the board in Canada are not the same. And the cost to build is astronomically higher in Squamish, and that's become a big problem that we need to be aware of, because we're not going to be able to build enough homes to sort of halt the market from going up too quickly. So I think what we need to watch is for the next couple of months, let's be aware of what's happening with the pricing. Let's be aware of what's happening with the inventory, and let's keep everything in mind. It's going to be a bit of a struggle. It's not going to be a normal market, but it's something to keep in mind moving forward. If you ever have any questions about the market or want to reach out to me, you can anytime. Simon@simonhudson.ca or 604-892-8155. And I look forward to hearing from you. Take care and have a fantastic springtime.